Welcome to the Real Talk Real Estate Podcast PDX. Our mission is to give real value to home buyers and sellers, shed light on the home buying and selling process, and give insight about the market and suburbs of Portland, Oregon. I'm your host, Dylan Thomas, licensed principal broker with HomeSmart Realty Group. Although this podcast is centered around home buyers and sellers, Real Talk Real Estate is for anyone looking for home tips and market updates in the Portland metro area. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Real Talk Real Estate PDX. This episode, I wanted to get a home inspector in here to give you a different perspective. This comes up after you have your offer accepted, going through the process. You have to get an inspection done and negotiate repairs within the first 10 business days of your accepted offer. So this is just one step along the process. And I have Kevin Shaffer in here from PacWest Home Inspections with me. PacWest has been around for how long, Kevin?
I think we're about 3 years now.
3 years, yeah. Grant started it up. Kevin's a high school buddy of mine. I know Grant through mutual friends, and that's how I came into contact with them. In the past 5 years that I've been doing this, I've been through a lot of home inspectors. Unfortunately, some don't always do the most thorough jobs. Some don't have the people skills that you guys do. And then another thing is you guys are always ready to help me and help my clients and get on it right away. It's not, going to be a week and a half wait, a 2 week wait just to get an inspection done. Another thing that I love about you guys is you guys offer all the non-standard tests. You guys do the radon, you guys do the sewer scope, you do the mold testing. You do the lead testing as well as the asbestos testing. So you guys are really the complete package. I mean, the only thing outside of that would be the well and septic, really, that I can think of. Maybe lot surveys and stuff like that, but those are
we
rare.
Definitely try to be the one-stop shop, just so you're not the inspection period is so short that we want you to be able to get everything done as quickly as possible. And so if we weren't able to provide those ancillary services, you might have to wait 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 more days just to get a sewer guy out there, or another 5 days to try and get a radon test done. And that's why we try to offer them right off the bat. Just one-stop shop, get them done right then and there.
Oh yeah. I mean, before I was using you guys, just to come get a lead paint sample would take 2 days to get somebody out there, and then they'd have to ship it off and test it, and that is another 3 to 4 days to get the results back. And so
right, and now we offer results at the time of the inspection.
Do you?
So we can test for lead, and we can give you those results right then and there, and we know if the house contains lead-based paint or not.
That's amazing.
But if you're talking about lead within the water pipes, that's a totally different test.
Sure.
But and that you do have to send away to a lab. But as far as lead-based paint, we can offer those results right away.
That's awesome. How? Okay. Well, let's just dive into it.
All right.
So what takes place during your normal home inspection? What do you do when you show up to the house? How do you go through the process?
Well, we like to show up about 30 minutes early. That way we can kind of figure out our bearings and kind of get things rolling and figure out what's the safest place to get onto a roof and what kind of layout, what kind of property are we looking at. So we like to get there a little early, and then we typically we'll start right up on the roof. Put the ladder, we hop up onto the roof. If we can't safely access a roof, we'll fly a really nice DJI drone. And we're looking for, how many layers of roofing material do we have, and then, we'll check that out right away, what kind of flashing we got, and then we'll go right into the roof inspection. Walk around the roof, and then we'll do our, we'll take a look at what kind of defects we got going on, and then once we get down off the roof, we'll do the exterior inspection. We'll start from the front door and walk around the entire house.
When you're up on the roof, what are you looking for? I mean, besides just the layers? We're
looking for granule loss. We're looking for any potential leaks, any areas missing flashing, any we're looking at gutters, downspouts, we're looking at improper venting, we're looking at improper flashing installs. Even a brand new roof can have flashing that was installed incorrectly, or flashing that's missing. You have shingles. I've seen it on all sorts of new roof installs where we have shingles installed improperly.
Yeah.
You really never know. It could be an 80-year-old home. It could be a house built in 2019 where we're at now. And you don't know unless you get up there and have a look.
Yeah, our funny story, our last house in Beaverton, it was a 1936 farmhouse. It was remodeled, I believe it's 2012 was the remodel, and that's when they did the new roof, and we bought it in 2015, 16, something like that. No, 14. So it was like a 2-year-old remodel, right? And we did our home inspection, yada, yada. Well, when we went to sell the house, turns out that the roof was done, the shingles were laid over the cedar. So we had cedar shingles and then 2 layers of composition. Yeah.
And,
inspector didn't catch that.
This is why you want to use
Really?
a reputable inspection company that would know that's not all right.
Yeah.
And now in Oregon, you really can't have more than 2 layers. It's
Yeah,
going to be
that's what I
it's
heard.
going to be hard to. It's really you're doing full tear offs these days.
Yeah. I think most roofing companies prefer that anyways, even
Right.
when they're just doing the first layer. Get it all clean, a nice fresh start.
Yep, I agree.
But so sorry to interrupt, but
No, you're good. Yeah. So once we hop off a roof, then we're going to go around and do an exterior inspection. We're looking at literally everything. We're looking at drainage. We're looking at siding materials. We're looking at trim. We're looking at flashing, crawl space venting. We're looking at your driveway. We're looking at the exterior side of the garage door. Soffits. We're looking at fascia. We're looking at your paint, the quality. We're looking at hose bibs. We're looking at your fence. We're looking at literally everything that contains the outside of your property lines. And then from there, we'll usually give a little knock on the front door and see if anyone's home and head on in the inside. Usually by then the realtor's there and we can start. And then right from there, we'll start in the kitchen.
nice.
From then, we're testing your appliances. We're going through, we're getting your oven temperature up to 350 degrees. We're checking your dishwasher for any leaks, making sure the refrigerator's hooked up. If it has water, does the water work in the fridge? We're taking thermal imaging photos of each one of your appliances, along with taking photos and giving you info on the dates of your appliances.
Yeah, that's something else you guys offer, right? Is like a recall check
Right,
for appliances?
So in the report, you'll see a picture of the serial number, the badge number of the fridge or the dishwasher or the refrigerator, whatever have you. And we put it through a system called Recall Check, and they'll run it through their system from the manufacturers stating if there's any recalls. So you get an email once a month updating you on if your home has any recalls, and that can be for your AC or your furnace as well.
Okay, cool.
So from there, we'll leave the kitchen, we'll venture off into a dining room or a living room, and we're checking windows and we're checking drywall. We're looking for any types of leaks or settling cracks or loose trim or doors that don't open, and checking outlets. And we're just running through each and every square inch of the home. After that, we'll get into. We'll probably go into the garage and we'll start looking at your heating equipment and your plumbing. Checking out the water heater, checking out how old is it? Is it corroded? Is it properly venting? Is it hooked up correctly? And so we'll go from there, and then we'll just check out everything in the garage.
Yeah. Furnace, electrical panel.
We're going through the furnace. Then from there, we'll jot down all of our notes, and then we'll continue out through the house. Usually venture into a bathroom. We're checking for any types of plumbing leaks. We're looking for the smallest, the pettiest things, as to a little bit of missing grout in the tile work, or caulking that is not up to code, or it's starting to crack, or drain stops or overflows that aren't there. Literally every nick and cranny of a bathroom we're going to go through.
I feel like most deficiencies you find is around plumbing. Plumbing and electrical, it seems like the most two common things that come up.
It's because a lot of the time you have homeowners that are trying to sell their homes and they do it themselves. And you can immediately tell the difference between a licensed plumber and electrician versus a homeowner DIY project. I mean, it could be just as simple as reversed outlets.
Yeah.
They're hooking up ground and neutral wires backwards.
Yeah.
Or they're hooking up P-traps that are with flex lines that are notorious to leak, and that they'll probably leak the first 2 months that you're at the house because they're putting them under the garbage disposal where you're building up with heavy grease, and it's just
yeah.
So we're going through every aspect of the home, from the bottom to the top, the outside in, and it's a process that usually takes about 2.5 hours or so, depending on how many services you're doing. But you got to do it.
Then you head up in the attic, check that out.
So we'll go up in the attic.
What are you looking for up there?
Oh, all kinds of goodies you can find up in the attic. We're looking for anywhere from mold and venting issues to inadequate insulation or insulation that's been damaged from either pests such as mice or birds. A lot of times you'll see some birds up there.
Yeah.
Or you have the old, the guy that has 5,000 Christmas ornaments and he's putting it on crushing the insulation. And so when you should have, call it an R38 or an R49 in a new home, you're seeing it compacted down to almost 3 inches of insulation, or they've moved it. They've moved, or they put boards over it. And so we're looking for all kinds of things up in the attic, roofing leaks, venting. So you got all your bathroom ductwork, all your fans that are coming up out of the bathrooms, and they're discharging into the attic. Well, that's a good way for mold to be present.
Sure. Yeah. So speaking of mold, I know from the home inspections we've done together and from previous, find a lot of houses in the Pacific Northwest have mold in the attic, and is that what you find as well? Is it?
I would say 7 out of 10 homes.
Really?
And it could be 6, but I think about 7 homes.
Yeah.
7 out of 10 homes I'll see mold
with different severities, right?
Right, and it could be literally just a couple of square feet, or it could be as bad as the entire attic is covered in mold, and it could be from numerous different sources. A lot of what we see is houses with moisture in the crawl space.
Yeah.
If you open that crawl space hatch and you see, 2 inches of standing water or multiple different puddles of standing water in the crawl space, I can pretty much tell you we're going to find some mold in the attic.
That'd be pretty scary.
And, it's not necessarily that it's a deal breaker. Everything can be mitigated. If we fix whatever's going on in crawl space, the attic it's pretty simple to mitigate mold up in an attic. So it's not a super big deal, but
for sure.
It's so common here that we have so many professional contractors out there that they can take care of these
issues. I tell all my clients, you can have a house built from the ground up. At the same time, you can have anything fixed in the house, and it's going to be properly fixed to where it's not going to happen again, such as water in the crawl space. It's caused the mold, so you have the mold mitigated, and then you take care of the water mitigation down in the crawl space, and it's never going to happen again. Or, knock on wood, it shouldn't happen again.
But, a lot of these companies, I'm not going to name any, but, they'll offer a warranty.
Oh, the mold guys.
So the mold guys or the crawl space guys. Yeah. They'll give you a warranty, and they'll say, hey, look, we can pretty much guarantee our work for 5 or 10 years, whatever their warranty is. But who's to say it's not going to happen again? The earth is shifting and moving. We're a living, breathing system. Our house everything is a functioning system. And when you have so many moving parts, things eventually fail. Like the motor in a car, right? If you don't change the oil in the car, it's probably not going to run too good. So we just got to continue that maintenance throughout our home. But when something does happen, it can be fixed.
Yeah. Easy. Most things easy.
Some things can be easy. Some things a little harder than others. But
we've seen it all. Chimneys, water in the crawl space.
I feel
mice.
Me and you are
all
about the mice.
That kick we got on there.
Oh.
You're like pulling mice at every house.
Yeah. Or plumbing leaks. That and plumbing leaks.
Yep.
It's you never know what you're gonna find. It can be an old house, a new house, 2019 house. It could be a house 1890s where you don't even know the actual date of the build because it's so freaking old.
Yeah. Yeah. So other than the residential home inspection, what other services would you recommend as standard practice?
I would say for sure sewer scope.
Yeah.
Hands down, sewer, definitely. Radon would be my second. I would definitely say sewer and then radon after that. Radon can vary house to house, location to location, different size of town, different size of the river, closer you are to Mount Hood. Wherever we're at, the levels can definitely change, and it can be spotty. Your neighbor could
What
have
is radon?
Radon is a natural breakdown of uranium deposits from basically dinosaur ages, and it's shifting and moving within this Earth's soil, and it releases a gas. And when we build our houses on top of the soil, and we're building this nice, clean, 99% efficient unit on top of the ground, that gas can come up underneath our house into our home. Typically, if you have a house that's a slab on grade, or it's got a daylight basement, or you convert a garage, for example,
Sure.
you're going to see higher numbers with houses like that. I see new houses where they're putting in these passive radon systems where
I've seen those, yeah.
It's kind of, call it half set up just in case, if we do a test and you're buying a new house and we come back with higher than normal radon levels, it's a pretty simple fix. They literally just hook up a fan and now you have an active unit.
Yep.
In an older house, you can call it a daylight basement where you got levels of an 8.0 or a 9.0. The EPA is saying we want something under 4.
Right.
There's other agencies out there saying we want less than a 2.0.
Yeah. Mitigation
companies will tell you we won't warranty our equipment if we're not getting less than 1.
Sure.
The effects of radon, it's the second leading cause of lung cancer over secondhand smoking in the United States.
Really?
And actually, on our website, I just actually shared a little memo about checking radon levels just for the sakes of your kids, right? They got growing.
What's your website, real quick?
PacWestHomeInspections.com.
Yep.
We got links up there, and we also have on our Facebook page, we post and share things such as winterizing your home and routine checkups and just good little knowledge base and informative information every now and then.
Yeah.
So
radon is it's a newer test, right? It hasn't been. I remember when I bought my first house, it wasn't even brought up, and now I feel like every house I'm pretty much recommending it on, especially like you said with kids and stuff like that. We lived in our Beaverton house for like 3 years, and unfortunately didn't have the radon test done when we moved in, and then when we went and sold it, they did, and it was high. So it kind of makes you like. That's something I could have prevented. It wasn't like ridiculously high, so I don't know, kick myself a little bit, but
right.
Hopefully, I didn't give my kids lung cancer.
I'm not a doctor or a scientist or anything, but the effects of it for a couple of years for us adults, it's not. I'm not going to say it's not terrible for you, but it's you're not going to get lung cancer within the first year of living in a house with radon.
Yeah. I read a few different statistics, and it's like, okay, if it's at this concentration, at this many years, here's your percentage likely chance. Right. So you can look.
Just because you smoke cigarettes doesn't mean that you're going to get lung cancer.
Right.
But
right.
You might get emphysema. I don't know. But it affects. I would do a test. I have young children myself, and when I bought my house was of lower levels of radon, and I did a garage conversion and sealed up my house. I got new siding, all brand new windows and insulation, and it's basically a brand spanking new house. Well, when I did the house, it wasn't like that, and I was like a 3.2 or something like that, which was still, a little bit high. But once I did a garage conversion and added a bunch of square footage to my home, it came back a 17.6, and it kind of scared me. I was like, holy smokes, so how could it have gone up from such little level to a high level? Well, my house was a 1964, no insulation, not sealed. It had so much breathability. Everything was moving and breathing. Yeah. And then I sealed it up, and my levels skyrocketed. And I was like, okay, it's got to get mitigated. So I mitigated it 2 days later.
Yeah.
And it dropped down. I did a slab mitigation, and I did a crawl space mitigation. And my levels on both sides, equal sides of my house, are 0.8.
Nice.
So I'm stoked. It's just a relief for me that in the slim chance, we're not going to be affecting our children or myself or my wife.
Sure. And it's in the air. It's in the air as we breathe it everywhere. Everywhere we go,
I think the average outside, you'll get a couple of different numbers out there, but you're 0.5 to 0.7. It's pretty low. So when people mitigate a home, typically they want to bring it down to those kind of levels.
Yeah.
Because
you're in your house.
Right.
a lot.
You
sleep
live in your house.
in your house and you breathe that air.
Right.
So back to the sewer scope real quick. What are you looking for when you do a sewer scope?
The clean out most of the time. So the clean out is basically how we're accessing our cameras and our gear to be able to evaluate your sewer line. There's a little joke because it's sometimes you have clean outs buried under 5 inches of bark dust that you can't find, or some houses they don't even have a clean out. But anyhow, so when we do locate and we're doing a sewer inspection, first thing once we locate it, we're going to turn on some water. We want to run as much water as we can to see the flow, and also what kind of deficiencies is this line going to have. The more water you run through it, the easier it is to tell if we have bellies or detached joints or pooling or anything crazy like that. So once we feed our camera in there, we're looking for what kind of material do we have. Is it a new material? Is it an old material? And then we're looking at when does it transition? Is it transitioning from a small pipe into an even smaller pipe? Because that's not okay.
Yeah.
We're looking, so we're just looking at a number of things. We're looking for root intrusion. We're looking for bellies. We're looking for detached joints, leaky joints, negative flow. A lot of those.
Did you say bellies already?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're looking for, bellies. Belly is basically where you have a pipe that's starting to sag in the middle and it's creating a pool of water. And that's probably the most common one we'll see in newer
that
homes.
And roots.
Roots, right?
Especially
He got a
around-
neighborhood,
yeah.
a developer. He had built, he built 300 homes in this area, and they planted all those little tiny baby maples. And now all those trees are huge, and those tree roots are starting to, heave the sidewalk up, and you got separated and tripping hazards everywhere. Well, it's the same thing under the earth, 5 feet down. You got that sewer line right there, and so ABS is a little bit stronger material, but I've seen root intrusion in ABS. So just because you have a home built in 2002 doesn't necessarily mean, and new material doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to have a sewer issue.
Yeah.
Today, I was at a house.
Sure.
I was at a house today. They wanted to opt out of the sewer, and their realtor had said, "Hey, look, we should do it whether it's a pass or fail. At least we have $125 peace of mind that it's clean." Well, guess what, guys?
No
32
way.
feet
No
down
way.
the line, we have a leaky separated joint where you have 3-inch ABS pipe going into a 6-inch 3034 PVC. Not connected at all.
No way.
Everything is
And
going
they almost opted out.
almost opted out. And you have all that water from your sewer line going underneath into the soil, not into the main sewer line.
Oh, shit.
So it can happen. It doesn't matter if it's old or new. I've seen new houses, 2019. You go up to the house. Oh, we don't want to do a sewer line. Well, hey, you know what? We did the sewer inspection, and it was crushed by a bobcat, little tractor.
Yeah.
Right when they're pouring the driveway,
Yeah.
they had it passed by the county. Hey, look, we inspected this. It looked fine.
Mm-hmm.
But-
I've heard of times where it never even got hooked up to the main.
Right.
Where they're just moving so fast.
We've had those
and-
where no, we don't want to do a sewer inspection. 1 week later, they move out of their brand new home because the entire first floor is flooded.
That's rough. That
So,
sucks.
It's
$125.
It's $125, and whether you come through us or you go through another company
To have a
it's somewhere.
sewer line repaired, I mean, the minimum I've seen just to remove a belly is around $1,000, $800 to $1,000, and that's if they can hand dig and get down to it, right? So if it's not too deep in the soil. The most extreme I've seen is
$20,000, $30,000.
I haven't seen that high, but yeah,
I've seen
8 to 10. I've seen 8 to 10.
I've seen 20 where you're underneath a public roadway and
yeah.
covered by the county.
Depending on the county and the
so
city.
you're hiring traffic control.
Mm-hmm.
You're cutting up asphalt. You're a jackhammer. You've got an excavator digging down 9 feet.
Yep.
Right, to repair 20-foot section. If your sewer line ends up being on the opposite side of the road and you have to dig up in the entire stretch from that curb to the other side of the curb, shutting down a road, it can cost big money.
Yep. And it depends on the city. Like you said, it depends on the city and the county. Because sometimes once you get to the city boundary, that's their problem and they got to take care of it. Other times it's your problem and you got to take care of it. I remember one in West Lynn that I had. I'm pretty damn sure they put that on the buyer who's buying the house or the seller who was selling the house, whichever. so we ended up having to do a sleeve. We just did a sleeve because it went right under this roadway that they weren't going to take care of. So that was able to, I mean, it was still a spendy repair, but
there's multiple ways of fixing a sewer line. We leave that up to the sewer companies.
Yeah.
But there's multiple different ways and avenues that they can attack at a repair on something like that. It doesn't mean that it's going to cost you $20,000.
Sure.
But it's a good thing to know ahead of time.
Yeah.
And that goes for septic inspections too. There's multiple different kinds of septic systems for, call it, country homes. And we don't offer those, although I do have one at my own home. But there's modern systems and there's old systems. Well, if you don't pump out that tank and you don't have any idea what it looks like at the bottom, it could be completely just eroded and destroyed and deteriorated. You just don't know unless you have it done. So even, I would say those are very...
Same with the leach field system, the drain-off system.
Yeah.
Got to make sure that that's all connected. We had one out in Willamina. They pumped it out, inspected the tank, went to scope the leach field system, and it was 3 feet out from the tank, it was disconnected. So that was a mess.
Well, welcome to Willamina.
Okay, so you obviously do the residential home inspection. Highly recommend the sewer scope and the radon. When should somebody test for lead-based paint or asbestos?
So it's really good. You got to get an overall feel of what the home looks like. And starting with just not only the date of when the house was built, because obviously all of these leads and asbestos and all that stuff, that comes with old building materials.
Right.
But a lot of these houses that contain those, depending on which side of town you're on, but a lot of them have been remodeled. So just because the house was built in 1970, if it looks like it's been almost fully gutted and stripped in the inside, the chances of having lead-based paint in the inside of the house are probably pretty slim by now.
And they probably have 5 layers of paint over that.
Right. Mm-hmm. The biggest problem with lead-based paint is kids eating it like chips. You just don't want to do that. But, if the house looks untouched and the paint looks phenomenal on the outside and not a single thing, it still has got single pane aluminum windows and the paint looks just vivid.
Yeah.
There's probably a pretty good chance that it's lead paint outside. As far as asbestos, there's thousands of products that were manufactured that contain asbestos. So anywhere from ducting tape to go around old oil burning furnaces to insulation up in the attic. There's a lot of things contain asbestos, flooring materials, shingles, siding. If we didn't figure out the health hazards to it, it's a phenomenal product. It'll last forever. But with the health hazards come when you do try to do that remodel on this home that you're buying and you want to do updates, it's hire a proper company to come in and do that work because it does cause lung issues, serious issues. But doing those tests and you can call us up and say, hey, we want to do it in this particular room or this particular space, and we can perform those tests there, or we can just look at it from what we think would contain these items. Each test costs money.
Yeah.
And so it's important to know if you're planning on doing a kitchen remodel, well, why don't we start there? And we'll test the flooring materials, and we're going to test the tiles or the laminates that we see that we think would contain this. It is a harmful product, and it does cost a lot to dispose of. And so knowing the facts and knowing whether it's testing positive or negative is definitely a good idea.
So as long as it's left alone and not touched, it's not hurting anybody. But so while you're going through your home inspection, if you identify spots that may contain asbestos, is that when you recommend having those tests done?
Yeah, so we have a pretty good idea of what we're looking at, and it's called suspected asbestos or suspected microgrowth, where we don't know unless we send to a lab. But we have a pretty good idea, and that's when we're going to kind of come over and recommend, hey, look, why don't you take a look at this? And do you plan on doing any any remodeling, or you plan on doing any work in this area where you might create some sort of particles that you think we should test for, we're going to recommend that you test for that particular situation.
Yeah. I mean, things with like siding, flooring, those are very common to be remodeled. So those are things
or the
that
most
you
popular.
wanna
Hey,
know.
we want to scrape our ceilings. We want to get rid of that popcorn.
Oh, the popcorn.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's
Forgot
really
about that. I haven't seen popcorn in a while.
Oh, I saw it today. But if you plan on scraping your ceilings, I would get it tested. It's it can cost more to dispose of. It's definitely a health hazard.
Yeah. Yep. So then you do your home inspection, you do the extra inspections. As you're going through and taking notes on all these different deficiencies and defective items, what do you recommend to buyers to ask to have repaired by the seller? I know what I do as far as like
so typically
when I'm writing up the repair inspection.
I figured you were going to ask that question, right? And typically, as home inspectors, we're not biased. I mean, we don't care whether you buy the home, don't buy the home, how much the home costs, or is it in the perfect school location for you? We don't care about those things. We are there to present you the facts.
Right.
Whether we're just going to tell you straight up exactly what's going on with the home. Now, if it was up to me and I was buying the home, and as a home inspector, and I'm looking at the deficiencies that I found throughout that inspection, the things that I would want to take care of are things that that would be expensive or super challenging to do. Obviously, I can do a lot, but things
I
like
think you've done
done,
beyond what the average DIY guy does.
Yeah, I know. But things to do with structural things, plumbing things, mechanical things, anything to do with safety. 100% all about safety.
Right.
There's no reason why a house should be sold without working in carbon detectors and smoke detectors. There should be no reason why those houses are sold with deficient smoke detectors. I think it's Oregon law.
It is Oregon law. Yep.
And I would say 5 out of 10 homes I go through, they're missing a carbon or all their smokes are outdated.
Yep.
And so that's definitely a big one. It's such a simple task.
Yeah. Well, we always get those done by.
But you'll get them done because,
because that's something that the appraiser looks for too.
Right.
He'll go through and
I don't know how many times we've hustled, or I've even seen realtors going to the store right then and there to get those taken care of.
Oh yeah, I used to carry smoke and CO detectors in my car.
I think it's expensive. They're like $25 each.
Amazon, man.
Fire department used to give them away for free. Anyhow, so then you're looking at anything structural.
Yep.
And structural doesn't necessarily just mean because we have some crazy foundation cracks.
Right.
I mean, we're talking about the moisture underneath the house. Is it eroding underneath the foundation wall? Right.
Yeah.
Or do we have rotten floor posts? Or do we have a toilet that's been leaking for 10 years?
Ooh, we saw that recently.
Yeah, it's disgusting. So anything to do with items like that, where one, it's disgusting, or two, it's going to cost a lot of money if you don't ask for it now. Are you going to have the money after you're buying the home transaction, which is already super expensive, where you're already struggling to get a down payment and figure out how you're going to move? Are you going to get shipping containers? Are you going to have to move into an apartment to wait a month? Right? So it's already super expensive. So trying to move into a home thinking that you can take care of these things as you get there, well, guess what? Chances are money's already going to be real tight, and you're not going to get to that project you thought you were going to get to.
Oh,
for a while.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I'm helping people buy their houses, and they and this is not a knock on anybody because I do the same damn thing. I look at it when I was buying houses. I'd look at it and say, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and this, and you get in there, you get settled, you start making the house payments, and you just kind of start living there and not doing everything on your checklist. I got to say that you're like one of the few people who's gone in and you went above and beyond what you thought you were going to do, first of all.
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, really just put the hammer down and knock some stuff out while you're living there, no less.
So it's a challenge, and it's I've been fortunate enough to be able to do it, or I can do most of the work myself. Actually, the only thing that I hired out was concrete, because I just hate concrete.
Yeah.
But It's hard. It's hard. You're masking off half your house.
Yep.
If you have kids, you can't let any of that dust, whether you think it's clean dust, bad dust, you can't live in the house.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I mean, even clean dust, it's going to get into the lungs and cause a lot of
well, I mean, like
sinus
asbestos dust, but
Oh.
what I mean, and here's it's just budget your money and plan accordingly.
Yeah.
Because if you're
get
planning
the home
some
inspection done, so you know exactly. So, I mean, because most people look at a house and they say, "Oh, I'm gonna allocate this much towards remodeling, right, and fixing it up and making it pretty." They forget about the home maintenance stuff, the
Right.
regular maintenance stuff that you're going to be doing year in and out.
right, no one realizes that you should paint your house every 5 to 6 years,
Yeah,
and if you don't budget accordingly, or a roof. Hey, you moved into a house. I had a 15-year-old roof, but now all of a sudden you spent $40,000 on a kitchen and a bathroom remodel. Well, guess what? You forgot to budget money for that roof that needed to be replaced. People always overlook the function and I'm blanking on the word here, but basically they want to do the lipstick. They want to make it look pretty.
right.
They want the pretty things, but they don't think that the furnace and the AC are going to cost them $5,000 to replace. So
Yeah.
they just wasted all their money on fancy subway tile rather than doing the preventative care and doing the things that are actually functional in the home.
Right. And there's ways around that as well. I mean, home warranties, those are huge. I know in my first house that I bought, all my money went towards closing costs, down payment. When I moved in, I was broke. I bought in August or September. November rolled around. We had some below freezing nights, and one of the nights I woke up, hot water wasn't working, and one of my pipes froze. A month later, that water heater went out, and luckily I had a home warranty, so I just call up this company. The deductible at that time was $50. This was many years ago. I think most are around 75 now, but they came out right away and replaced that thing for $50. If I had to pay for that and the plumber to install it,
No more Christmas presents.
oh man, that would have broke my back.
And
man.
the thing with home warranties is we, as home inspectors, we don't really get into that. That we
Right,
kind of leave that to the realtor side. But if you're buying a house that's 17 years old or so, let's say. I mean, I'm just using that number today because I just came from a house that's that old. But it has an old furnace, has an old AC, has an old water heater,
Yep.
has an older roof. These home warranties are great for situations like that because it's going to be hard pressed to try. Correct me if I'm wrong, to be able to ask for something that's functioning.
Right.
If a furnace is
time,
17 years
yeah.
old and it produced and it works and it's clean and it's not corroded and it looks great, the chances of you getting that as a new, and your repair
That's an
done
upgrade. Yeah, that's
pretty,
not going to happen.
pretty slim.
Especially
So
like
the home
on my
warranty's good
seller
protection.
side. I just had a listing and someone asked for the water heater to be replaced because it was over 10 years old. It's working. Sorry, we're not going to replace that.
Right.
So
but then you get the flip side.
get a
where
home warranty.
Today, I had a home that it produced 120 degree temperatures, 105, 115. It depends on how far away you are. But the reason why I think they're going to be able to get it replaced is because every time I ran the hot water, I had dark, dirty, filthy water.
Ooh, yeah.
Right? So that's probably a little bit of sediment and some corrosion going on in the tank. Well, the tank is, 17 years old.
Yeah.
So
Do you
although
remember
it's-
that one we had in that condo? It's like 30 years old.
Oh, yeah.
We got that one replaced. That was easy.
I mean, that's, the chances increase greatly when you have a water heater that old. The oldest one I've ever seen was 56 years old.
Jeez.
But hey, guys, they don't make products like that anymore.
No,
My phone is going to take a dive after 2 years.
Yeah. They make it to break after 2 years.
I know it's screwed up, dude.
Do you have an iPhone?
Yep, but I'm not going to tell you which one it is. Don't even think about it.
I won't. Not even going to say anything.
It's a 6, but it's still it's still only 2 years old.
Nice. So along the lines of not only knowing about what's wrong with the house that you're purchasing or selling, you guys do seller home inspections as well, which is a great tool when it comes to listing your house. If you've already had that home inspection done and you've identified what needs to be repaired, and either done the repairs or know that you're going to do the repairs, that's a great negotiation tool when you're listing the house. I shouldn't be talking about that because that's one of the things I like to use.
Well, it's fine. I mean, you're not the only one that does it.
Yeah.
The issues that we see is when I go through we call a pre-listing home inspection, and we're going to do the exact same job as if we were working for a buyer. But are you willing to disclose the things that I find?
That's kind of where it comes up on. It's house dependent, I guess.
It really is.
What you would say.
I've done.
I did not recommend that to my last listing. It was a 1948 house.
Yep. There you go. But if you're moving out of your 2007, 8 build, 2007, 2009 build, and it's pretty clean, you know what? Why don't you just hire a home inspector? They'll come through the house and they'll say, hey, look, the northeast bedroom door is loose, and you have a small plumbing leak in the P-trap underneath the hall bath. Yeah,
sure.
And all those things are good to catch before you put it on the market.
Or if you're willing to get it done and then do the repairs and then list,
right?
Then
and you're going to want to do those repairs. At that point, I don't think you legally have to hire a contractor. Some of this, some stuff you can handle by
if it's not listed. Yeah,
if it's not listed,
totally.
So it does present you a nice little checklist of things to take care of, and that might give you, when you do list your house, you might only get them to ask you for one or two things, or nothing, or closing them. They're going to ask for closing costs. They're going to ask for closing costs.
Most people try to get a little credit in there. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so do the home inspection, find out what's wrong with the house. Not only budget for that and budget for your remodel stuff, make it pretty, but what yearly maintenance, or not even yearly, what should people be doing on their house? What should we be checking?
There's all kinds of maintenance. And the ones we see are, just pretty much every house I go through, you're going to have gutters that have debris, or loose door hinges and outlets that are loose, and things that you're using every single day.
Heading into winter, what should people be doing?
Heading into winter, I mean, you want to make sure all your downspouts and gutters are clean, because if you're not discharging that water properly, guess where it's going to go? It's going to go underneath the house, which leads me to the next one. Check your crawl space. Make sure you don't have any moisture in your crawl space, and if you do, get it resolved, and it's probably coming from a downspout that's discharging too close to your house. So, and then you want to go into your attic. How old is your roof? Jump up, see if we have any roof leaks. See if you can see it. Bring a flashlight up there and just take a look. It's usually pretty easy to see an active roof leak. Checking your hose bibs. Go outside, shut them off. You could leave the hose bib on, attached to your hose. I see it all the time where there's a hose attached to it, filled full of water.
Mm-hmm.
But they have a little spray nozzle on there, and they don't realize that they didn't shut it off. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? That just froze all your pipes.
Yeah.
Now you're cutting open the drywall and trying to repair that frozen or cracked pipe right there.
Hopefully it doesn't crack.
It happened at my house. But it was before I didn't know yet. Anyhow, and then locating your main water shutoff just for things just like that, right? If we do have a frozen pipe, at least know where it's at.
Oh yeah.
So you can get to it quickly. Checking your furnace. Do a service on your furnace. Just like you're going to want your AC to work comes, spring, summertime, have them service. Have them both service. One time in the winter or one time in the spring. Some companies will do it all at once, and some will recommend you do it at either time of the year.
Yep.
Check your smoke alarms. The fire department will tell you to check them once a week. Most people don't check them after they move into their home. But I'm telling you, check them periodically. Don't forget about them.
Yeah.
You're supposed to replace them every 10 years, which people think just because you have a wired smoke detector or carbon means that you don't ever have to touch it again. Not true. If you look at the back, you pop it off the wall, you're going to see it's still manufacturer requests you to change it out every 10 years.
Yep.
So checking your smoke, checking your carbons. If you have a fireplace, get a chimney sweep. How often do you use it? Have you ever used it? You don't know. You just moved into the house. You don't know the previous people.
I just got off the phone with a masonry chimney guy, and he laughed when I asked him about a chimney sweep. And he said it's dumb.
2 days ago, a house burnt down in Lake Oswego.
Well, he said the chimney sweep is not the issue. He said you can hire a guy to come out, sweep the chimney. They do it from the top, right? They go down with their brushes and clean it. He said the issue is what's called the smoke shelf, or the I think it's called smoke shop,
dampener.
right behind the dampener.
Right.
He said, chimney sweep guys don't get down there and clean it. He
No, they
said
push it all into that pile.
It push it
and
into
then
that
you have
pile.
this nice hot fire that's cooking, right? And you leave, and 2 days later, that thing is still smoldering.
Right.
And it's
So
just cooked up. All that.
if you have a real
crazy.
fireplace and you're getting a chimney sweep done, make sure they get up there and they vacuum out that area or pull all those ashes out. He told me he just did one that he pulled out 2 5-gallon buckets worth of ashes on that smoke.
Yep. And if you get any sort of draft after that, and it finds its way, and that's a big.
Yeah, that will burn down a house.
Say that's. I'm not a firefighter, but that's probably one of the leading causes of house fires.
Yeah,
right there.
So chimney sweep, but make sure they do it right.
Yep, and we always we always recommend, if there's a chimney there, we always recommend a chimney sweep. Doesn't matter. I don't know the house. I don't know how long or if they've ever used it or how often they use it. I can see as much as I can with my flashlight, but I always recommend it. Start from scratch. Change your filter furnace. Clean your chimney. Start from scratch. Have a good maintenance plan already set up.
Yep.
It's always good to start from square one. Don't caulking, paint, plumbing, just start from square one.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds crazy, but it's really not that difficult.
I know.
Plan ahead.
I know. And one thing that you guys hand out, which is awesome, is that maintenance checklist. And I still use that, to be honest. I go through my own house and I look at that checklist. I'm like, oh, shit.
It's time. It's time.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a pretty good tool. It basically kind of is going over the list that I'm going over. It's checking your gutters, checking your crawl space, checking the attic, checking the hose bibs, locate your shutoffs, checking your smoke detectors, the filters, the ventilation, crawl space ventilation, attic ventilation.
Yeah, that's going to save you money in the long run.
Door seals. I mean, how often do you go through your front door? Have you ever looked at the seal going around it? Does it have a big old gap in it?
Mine's bad.
Are you just leaving air to... Your nicely expensive natural gas is just leaking right out your front door.
My front and rear doors are bad.
So
I gotta have you over.
You're $10-15. I don't know what kind of door you have, but typically a seal's not very expensive. Just put a nice fancy one in.
Yep.
Just get it done. They're $10-15. There is a wrong way to do it, which I see all the time, which is just a foam pad.
Oh my god.
That's like, are you kidding me? Half of it's eaten by the cat and the dog. And the other half isn't actually doing anything. So make sure you look at the seal that you got and actually replace it with the proper seal.
Mm-hmm.
I think my last one here that I was going to talk about was an AC cover. So having a cover over your AC. I see vegetation, moss, leaves, debris, all kinds of crap inside of outside condensers.
Yeah.
If you're not using it, just put a tarp over it. Put you could get a nice...
Don't forget about that.
Don't forget about it. Because
do
you want to come out there and try to... Do you know how difficult it is to get inside that fan? It's a tight spot. Mm-hmm. Just cover it up. When do leaves fall? The fall. You're not using your AC, so cover it up.
Nice.
Also, make sure it's level. That's a good one, too.
Yeah. Making sure it's level. Gosh, I think we about covered everything.
Well, there's a lot more, but as far as
a general overview,
you want to do a home inspection because whether the home has been brand new, freshly remodeled, or it's a brand spanking new, fresh built home, you never know what you're going to find.
Oh yeah,
you're putting up 300 homes in a brand new subdivision. Well, they're not robots, people. They're contractors and subcontractors, and you have superintendents, and along the line, things start to cut corners. Mm-hmm. And so you see it in new homes, and you see it in old homes, and you see it in especially old homes.
Old.
But do a home inspection, find out, do your due diligence, see exactly what kind of items are you going to find. Are they big? Are they small? Is it something you're willing to tackle? Is it something you should hire out? Find out the numbers. You know, if you need a plumber, see how much it's going to cost to replace that particular toilet, let's say. Or if you need a mold mitigation guy, right? Because I found mold up in the attic. See how much that's going to cost. That way you know exactly where you're at, what the numbers are, what you're moving into.
Yeah, and that's part of my job, and that's part of a service that I provide is I go out and I have a list of contractors that I work with regularly, but if it's something out of the norm, I'll go find them and I'll get quotes for them so they know what they're moving into, Or if that's going to be a make or break deal at the same time.
Right. By the way, guys, Dylan's my realtor, my personal realtor, and he helped me find the house that was perfect for me and my wife. And I saw the potential. He saw the potential. He knew kind of what I was looking for. I wanted something that.
Dude, that was a slam
I bought
dunk
it
steal.
as a 3-bedroom, 1-bath home up on a hill, and all we cared about was did it have property
On
and
an
did it
acre.
have a view.
Yep.
And after that, now my house is a 5-bedroom, 2-bath.
Outstanding view.
It's just beautiful, full remodel, and
And you've added a couple kids.
added a couple kids, and
So that
so
kind
the
of...
equity's there, and we couldn't be more happy.
Yeah, speaking of that, okay, what'd you buy that thing for?
So they listed it for $350, but remember there was multiple
Right,
offers, and so we ended up I think we bought it for $364, and it came back and appraised without us doing a single thing for $405. So we already were sitting on
Walking into a ton of equity.
walking into a little bit of equity, and I've been there for 2 years now. My house
I hate to
just
pat
got.
myself on the back, but I'm pretty damn good in
you
multiple
did-
offer situations.
You did a pretty good job, and it wasn't that we asked for a lot. We didn't really ask for a lot, but we didn't want to lose the deal.
Right. I think there was some well issues.
There was some well, and there was like a cracked window, and I mean, we were trying to we wanted some things fixed, but I didn't really care because all the windows and all the crap I already took out. It's all brand new. But Dylan did a great job negotiating, and we won the house. We got the house, and 2 years later, my house
Isn't that
was
sad when
worth
you have to say you won a
$250,000 more.
house?
We won it. I mean,
But it's so common now.
it was definitely a competitive market at the time,
Oh, yeah.
and
That time was real bad. But I just think it's sad when you got to say you won.
you won.
A
I mean, you won.
house, you
But we
know?
also didn't win the one we won in Forest Grove, and thank God, right? It would have been a totally different life.
Oh, you would have sold that by now.
The driveway was super steep.
Yeah, you would have sold that. You would have been in there maybe a year. You probably would have rented
I
it
probably
out,
would have
'cause
built a bridge in
would've said-
front of it and made a flat drive.
I would have said, Kevin, you can't sell this yet, so
but
rent it out.
Yeah. I mean, he's
So how much have you put into the house now? If you don't mind me asking, do you mind answering?
No, we're fine. I think I'm about $50,000 into it, but
So about
you have to remember that I do all my own work. So if I was to contract any of this stuff out, you're talking probably
80,
I don't know 100,
90?
maybe 100,000. So I call it if I charge myself my own time. Let's say I put 100,000 in my house. It's now worth 580. 550, 560, it depends on the time of the year. But if I wouldn't sell, I might call Dylan up next spring and see if we want to sell it. But I'm $200,000 up almost.
Yeah.
From the price that I bought it for. And all it takes is a little bit of giddy up and some funds, but you can do it. It's all doable. Everything's doable. People told me there's no way you're going to be able to convert this.
Who said that?
Well, the county. I won't mention his name, but I do not like the county inspector. And it's because when you go to file for codes and you're going to get your permits, they're going to want you to bring your 1964 home to 2019 code and standard.
Yep.
Well, how can you get an R49?
Depending on what you're doing. But yeah,
how can you get an R49 into my attic?
Right.
It's not possible. But that's what they want. So it's a little bit of give and take. It's a little bit of talking to their superiors, but you can do it.
Yeah.
It's hard though. It took me 2 years.
Oh man. But you're good. You're done now?
We're done.
Yeah.
We're done.
Done. Everything's passed. Everything's finalized.
Everything's
all the permits.
finalized. Everything's done. It's
an amazing job you've done.
I got a couple of pieces of trim to tidy up on, but
I mean, the house was good before. It was good before for you and your wife. But damn, it's nice now.
It's big. It's big. It's nice. It's
I think the most impressive part for me in your whole remodel is the back area where they used to have the sliding barn door, and you've turned that into your laundry room now.
So you can look up my Facebook or my Instagram, but I posted a lot of things in it. I converted a whole garage. It was a detached almost kind of garage where it had a little galleyway through it. And I made that into part of my house. And so we have a full laundry room and a bathroom and 2 additional bedrooms. And under the stairs wasn't even finished. And now that's all finished. I poured 17 yards of concrete, leveling out the floors.
Damn.
It's been a task, and I've done it all while living there. I don't suggest doing that. I suggest booking a 3-week vacation to Hawaii and coming back with the contractors have already finished it all. All depends on money, but everything's fixable over time.
Yep.
Don't bite off. My biggest advice to people, not just being from a home inspecting standpoint, but from just doing this myself, is don't bite off more than you can chew. Make sure you have the money to be able to do it.
Sure.
And everything in moderation, everything step by step. Don't try to do a full house demo
One task
while
at a
you're
time,
living there.
right?
One room at a time.
Yeah.
One thing at a time.
And that's easy. I mean, you can tackle that pretty easy. It's when you try to tackle everything at once,
A little overwhelming.
gets overwhelming.
Yep.
Things stall out. You get burnt out. But yeah, one room at a time, and you'll get through it. You remember Corey? We did his home inspection. It's like a month or two ago.
Yeah.
He's done a lot to that house
Already.
dude. So that was another one. It was multiple offer deal, and we got it for, I think it was 262, 263, something like that.
Yeah.
It appraised for way higher, so another awesome story. But he was one that he said, I'm gonna, before I even move in, I'm gonna do a lot of stuff. And
Yeah, you're pointing out this wall, pointing out that wall. We're gonna open this up. We're gonna do this and do that.
dude, the house looks great now.
Really?
I bet he could turn around and sell that thing for $325 right now.
Bada bing, you just sell it, $50,000.
Flipper. Yeah, it's so there's a lot that can be done in real estate, and everything can be fixed. It's just a matter of whether you want to take it on or whether you have the funds to have somebody else do it. And a lot of times that's going to fall on the seller if it is big repair items. Because as a buyer, when you go in and you have your inspection, you ask the seller to take care of this. That seller then has to disclose. If you're to back out, that seller has to disclose what's wrong with the house. And if it's something major like a sewer line failure that they don't want to take care of, or a ton of mold or water in the crawl space, those things are going to have to be taken care of before they're going to sell that house, or they're going to have to offer a substantial price reduction.
Right. And what typically what I'm seeing with stuff like that, and I like to get chatty with some of the realtors in the houses, but if I go through the home and it's a sale fail and it comes back and someone else puts an offer in.
Oh yeah.
The house has usually nothing's been fixed, but they're gonna get a price cut. They're gonna have to, because these people are not willing to sit on their mortgage another month. They don't want to sit on it. And if they don't have the financial capability of doing the repairs, then they're willing to negotiate.
Yep.
Because they don't want it to sit on the market another 6 months.
Yep. So I had one crazy story. So my friends were buying a house in Beaverton. We got multiple offer type thing. We went a little bit above ask, not too much, and we ended up getting the house. Did our home inspection. It was either you or Grant that did it. Water in the crawl space, of course, and then some minor issues around the house, some failed window seals and stuff like that. And they were old aluminum paint. So what we asked for was those windows that had failed to be upgraded to vinyl windows, and we asked for the mitigation, the crawl space mitigation for the water. Got quotes, got all this and all that, and the seller said no, because we have this backup offer. Oh. And they ended up going to that backup offer because we backed out. We said, well, this is too much to take on for how much we're offering, so we can either come down substantially or we're going to have to back out. And they let us back out. Well, they went to that backup offer. They backed out, went back on the market. I think they ended up selling for $15,000 or $20,000 less, and it was about $5,000-6,000 in repairs that they didn't want to do. Cost themselves a lot of money.
That sounds like they lost $10,000.
Yep.
So don't let some of this stuff scare you.
Yep.
I mean, some of this stuff is taken care. Listen to what Dylan just said. He said $5,000 or $6,000 in repairs, right? Yep. That doesn't really scare me in the grand scheme of a home purchase.
No, not at all.
So when you look at whether it's mine and Grant's reports or another company's reports, the text is going to be very, very scary. But sometimes just because you have a plumbing leak, it might be $8 in repair cost.
Yeah. Or tightening up a fitting.
Yeah, or just tightening it up.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of that kind of stuff. And I know when you guys write your reports, you have to cover your own ass. And there's a lot of little items, but you gotta just sit back, take a look at it, take a night to just read through it and digest it.
right.
Because most of the stuff is little. Every house has issues. Even brand new houses have issues.
That's right.
So, yeah, I really appreciate you coming on today, Kevin. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been a good time. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So how can people reach out to you?
You can reach out to us 503-217-2000 or our website. You can always schedule online. It's packwesthomeinspections.com.
Yep.
Me and Grant try to answer our phones as frequently as we can. Sometimes we're up in an attic or underneath the house. It gets a little difficult. So we do have a call service that will pick up and take down your info, and we'll call you back right back as soon as we can.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, usually I just head online and book the appointment, and makes it easy for me.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, schedule online's pretty easy. It gives you our exact availability.
Yeah.
And so once you go on there and schedule, we'll send you a little email saying we're going to confirm it, and we'll set up your appointment.
Awesome, Kevin. I appreciate it. Super informative. I'm gonna have to have you over soon because I need a hand on a few things. But all right, man. Take care.
Cool.
Thank you for tuning in to the Real Talk Real Estate PDX podcast. Stay up to date on Portland real estate action by subscribing or follow along on Instagram at Real Talk Real Estate PDX. Any questions or comments about this episode or any real estate matter, feel free to reach me at dylan.pdxrealtor@gmail.com. Thanks again and have a great day.